What is going on at Google Plus? Is anything going on at Google Plus, and is it obvious to the untrained eye?
So Google is playing catch up in the social networking space, and they launched a social networking service called Google Plus in June. And you know, they're spending a lot of money on this. You may have seen during the Oscar Awards commercial, a Muppets commercial.
I did.
Yeah, touting Google Plus. So they're putting a lot of money into this. And if you hear Larry Page, the founder of Google, talk about Google Plus, he'll say that it's growing so quickly. We already have 90 million users, which is an extraordinary amount in just 8 months. However, we have new data that shows that Google Plus is really what we call a virtual ghost town in comparison to Facebook. The average amount of minutes spent in a month on Facebook is 6 to 7 hours. I don't know if you spend that much time
6
on
to 7 hours.
6 to 7 hours on average.
A week?
No, a
month.
month. This is a month.
Okay.
Yeah, still a high number.
That's just your, that's just your staff. That's just your staff in the
I was
law
just
bureau.
checking. I need some data points.
Still a high number, but
Right.
but Google Plus only 3 minutes. Even MySpace is higher than that. So you're talking about 3 minutes versus 6 to 7 hours.
3 minutes is the sign-in time, right?
Yeah, right. Well, so it suggests that people are signing up. They were excited
Right.
about it, but they're not spending much time in there.
But there are some things that Google Plus does where you don't actually need to go to Google Plus and it can help you, right? So explain what's going on there, because that's what Google is pointing to, Larry Page points to as well, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important. These numbers are from ComScore. Google disputes the numbers. They say their internal metrics are much higher. They won't tell us what they are. But you know, it's really, when you look at Google Plus, it's positioned not necessarily as a destination site as like Facebook is. So you go to Facebook, you share your videos, you chat, you send your messages, you do everything on Facebook. With Google Plus, it sort of sits as an auxiliary service, like a layer on top of all their other services like YouTube and Gmail, GChat. So you use all those other services, and in the meantime, you can share things through Google Plus. So you're kind of logged in the dashboard, the Google dashboard. So the question is whether you know, people are using this, but they're not necessarily, they're kind of dropping in and dropping out. They're not just sitting there all day and playing games. The other thing is that, you know, Google hasn't encouraged the app development just yet. So you don't have all these Zynga games on there, you know, Farmville, where people spend a lot of time on it. So I think that kind of plays into these numbers.
So is it fair to compare Google Plus and Facebook in terms of, you know, apples to apples and how well they're doing in that?
I think it's fair in one way that, you know, Google definitely wants people spending time on Google Plus. That's why they're doing these commercials and everything, trying to get people on there and excited about it. So it is fair to compare, but you do have to talk about these caveats because it's still early in the game. You know, they're betting kind of long term on this, and there's going to be a lot of changes down the road.
So would a splash of color help? I mean, because it's awfully sort of, you know,
well,
white, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
One of the points.
I mean, even this sheet of paper here has got more color on it than Google Plus, and it's got a bit of yellow on it. But you know,
I mean, one of the complaints is that it's a little techy. So you know, we have some other data that shows that it kind of skews towards male audience. You know, a lot of Silicon Valley people on there excited about it, but you know, the average user that's on Facebook, and even the mothers that are sharing photos and all that, and the fathers.
Skewed toward male audience.
It's just a little, you know. So I think that's going to change again over time as more people kind of get used to it. You know, another thing is if you're on Facebook, and there's 845 million people on Facebook, do you really want to start from scratch and build up all your contacts again and do another service? And I think that's what some people are complaining
It depends
about.
who your current contacts are, doesn't it? I mean, maybe you want to
guess
get
so.
away
Maybe you
from
wanna
them.